Hey beautiful family, stolen a few quiet moments here at home in my garden, and I wrote a post today, and it's an important post, and I'm going to link it in with a recent news story that trended, and there was a lot of hype about it, and as always now it has died down. And that's what happens with the mainstream media. The stories pushed by the media create a certain narrative inside global, national, international consciousness, and then it fades away. And when we discuss the topics with passion that the mainstream media is addressing, we are not necessarily discussing the topics that humanity, it's not like humanity has these events in some sort of Mexican wave and we discuss them as the media reports upon them. Quite often the media is telling humanity what the Mexican wave will be. When I saw what was happening with, for instance, because I'm from England, Prince Harry and Meghan, Princess Meghan, Prince and Princess, however you want to deem them, I did not watch the interview, and I never watch these things. Number one, my time is too valuable to waste my internal world on them. Number two, I had persons telling me that because I said that it was offensive to persons with mental health and persons of colour, so persons who deal with racism. So I just wanted to try and ask persons if their means of dealing with racism and mental health are better than my own. Then responding to the mainstream media and discussing them should have a product that's actually helping persons, not just a conversation that rises and falls like a Mexican wave. And so recently I opened East Africa's very first home for mothers and babies and mothers who have postnatal problems and mental health issues, because I saw that the children were always being separated from the parent no matter what, and there is not a necessity for that because sometimes the mum can recover. But the social services here and the social welfare are such that once your child is separated and goes to a home and persons are very impoverished and uneducated, that's it, they lose each other forever. And I see that as wrong, so we opened a home for that. And the reason I had space, energy and power to open that home is I didn't use the space, my own space internally, my own energy and power, to discuss mainstream events throughout the year. I instead rather focused my energy, because whatever I give my attention to today becomes my reality tomorrow. And so those problems, I have a great deal of want to tackle them in the world, and I do so quite efficiently. Now the home is very small and we have only a few residents, but it's a first, and from mighty trees come from little seeds, and it's good to plant trees you'll never sit under the shade of. And as we expand, you will hear our expansion plans soon, there will be a larger dedicated space for such women in this country. And so, because I used my attention and my intention wisely, there is a solution for persons with mental health problems. So to say that I am offensive to that by saying to persons this is not helping, by responding to mainstream media, actually to me when I say that, I find I'm trying to say the same thing back to you. I'm trying to say that you're dealing with it on the surface of the depth of a puddle by responding to what the TV and the mainstream news tells you is trending at the moment, instead of choosing these things to actually resonate in your heart every day and become your own narrative and story, and every day you push in this world to solve these problems, as I have done. Likewise with issues with race, there is no way anyone can say that I have a problem with race, or that by my saying that responding to a family issue inside a family that nobody knows has anything to do with and will not address because the mainstream media told you it's time to, is doing anything to deal with the problem of any racial inequality on the planet. And it's evident by the connection I've created in my life between the developed Western world, which is persons who are Caucasian, persons who are black, Indian, Asian, everything. Every race pretty much is involved in Share Tanzania, sponsoring children here who are in need, because most of those persons don't see race and colour, they see a child in need. And so, again, I have tackled that problem very well by using my energy wisely and not responding to and listening to and using my attention and intention on the mainstream narratives. If I were to watch that interview with Harry and Meghan and Oprah Winfrey, that is an hour and a half of my attention and intention, the most valuable resource I have. And if I use that, I could use that attention and intention on a child here who is struggling in child labour. It might be just 20 minutes to write a post, it might be to contact a donor, to respond to an email. But in doing so, I solve the problem for that child tomorrow.
I withhold nothing. I'm learning to trust you, even when I can't see it. And even in suffering, I have to believe it. If you say it's wrong, then I'll say no. If you say release, I'm letting go. If you're in it with me, I'll begin. And when you say to jump, I'm diving in. If you say be still, then I will wait. If you say to trust, I will obey. I don't wanna follow my own ways. I'm done chasing feelings. Spirit, lead me.
By giving my attention to that mainstream narrative, I do not solve the problem tomorrow. So the problem you have is that what you give your attention to today becomes your tomorrow. If you really care about mental health problems, about racial problems, giving your attention to the mainstream media is selling your attention to a group of media marketers who pre-decided out of the millions of news stories which one would generate the most advertising revenue. You have sold your attention. You have not used it in a sovereign way. And because we are increasingly in a state of solitary deprivation, meaning that whenever we are bored, we grab this, we grab the phone, and we go to the computer. So even while you're watching that media, you are unable to make a sovereign evaluation often of what's happening, and increasingly so, we see the behavior of recent years because of this becoming more and more primitive. Chimpanzees get frustrated, they scream, beat their chests, and they can't communicate why they're frustrated. People are feeling this way and saying, I can't be your friend. And it's a cancel culture expression. And it's solitary deprivation that's causing it. No one's taking time in solitude. And when you take time in solitude, the only path to change the world is to get deep into yourself and manifest these changes. Not to stay here, but to go deep. You stay here and you wait for the next news story, and that Mexican wave comes up of everyone, oh, I'm against this, I'm against that. And then the same people who were all aggro about George Floyd, all aggro about potential racial issues in the royal family, have done nothing to deal with racial issues in that time. They've waited for the next time to sell their attention to the media. And it goes even deeper than that. Solitary deprivation is a very destructive force for all of us at this point in time. But it goes deeper because you don't know what God will tell you in your solitude. You don't know what original thought, evaluation, manifestation can come from you. If you constantly go to the media and sell your attention and intention, and you constantly dilute activism by just posting online, you get to a point where you are shutting off many attributes that God can give you. And I'm going to close with one example. In August, I diagnosed one of my family members with cancer. My family are loved by God as much as I am, and I diagnosed a family member with cancer by a dream. And people would say, well, why did they not tell me? Why did God not alert me? Why didn't Spirit alert me? And it was correct. They had no idea at the time they had cancer. I knew before they did. And I knew they did, because I know when my dreams are correct. As it says in the Bible, God can speak to you in the depths of your slumber. How did this happen to me? Well, the only reason is, it's not that God doesn't love you, it's that I was on it loves you any differently. It's that I was on a different frequency, because I was not solitary deprived. I was in a state of non-solitary deprivation, means I can be with God and He can guide me to actually have an impact in the world, or guide me to alert people to problems around me. And it's a gift we all have, as long as we address solitary deprivation. And solitary deprivation's key cause today is the mobile phone and the algorithm and the media, etc. Today, if there's a mainstream media story and you want to dig into it and you want to look at it, and it's about some problem politically, it's about some racial problem, it's about some inequality, I urge you, don't put your attention on that story, because you're selling your attention to media marketers. Put your attention instead on that problem and start seeking God in the depth of yourself and saying, how do I, with my hands and feet, fix that problem on the planet today? How do I contribute? Because the longer we continue to post online about a one set event within inside these problems, more and more we progress with those problems around us not being dealt with, because the hands and feet that can deal with them are immobilized here, looking at the screen. And that is the most important lesson humanity needs to learn. Your attention and your intention is the most valuable resource for the change of this planet. Your passion, your emotion, it's all an absolute waste of space. Your love is a waste of space if it is not directed with intention and attention on the true solution to these problems. You will not change the global sphere, but we can, one by one, change it individually around us until the glow of us all individually eradicates the darkness. But you as an individual cannot shine a light on all the darkness by posting online. But you can, in your own communities, wherever it is in the world that you are, you can address these problems. But it starts today. It starts right now by climbing out of the ego, climbing out of the narrative, detoxing yourself from the social media, the media, etc., and understanding what I give attention to today. As my example, I can go and watch the interview with Oprah today if I want, or I can focus for an hour and a half on a child who is in need here, who is labouring. Tomorrow or the day after, I will have that child out of labour and into school. Which one would you ask me to choose to do? And you have, security lights came on, you have the opportunity to choose the same thing. I once did not have the structure to easily and quickly help someone like that. I had to build it. But I would not have built it if I was selling my attention to the wrong people. I love you all. God bless, guys. Bye. What I love about Tanzania, one thing I love, you can hear the call to prayer there for the mosque. I don't care what faith it is. Anyone who's calling people to go and speak to God, it's a culture that's in the right position in many which ways, shapes and forms. God bless, guys.